I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Harry Reasoner.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
His enemies call him Mad Dog Merkle, and it's typical of the man that he takes a perverse delight in the nickname. He is Robert Merkle, the U.S. Attorney, the federal prosecutor for the Middle District of Florida. Currently, he's prosecuting Carlos Lader, alleged to be the most important cocaine dealer ever caught. Merkle had already gained a reputation as one of the toughest prosecutors in the country, especially in the area of drug dealing and official corruption, two common maladies in the state of Florida. But has Merkle gone too far in his crusade, trampling on the rights of anyone who gets in his way? That's the question in Merkle country these days. To answer it, Mad Dog Merkle reaches for his guitar.
On this day fraught with woe, the Mad Dog was my foe, and Miranda was slipping away.
The U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida is not shy. This 43-year-old Notre Dame alumnus with the look and manner of a young J. Edgar Hoover is quick to lash out at critics and at such legal niceties as the Miranda rule.
To the extent we impose that sort of straitjacket on the system, we ensure a continuation of the prospect whereby defendants are alienated and the police are frustrated and hamstrung in their legitimate constitutional duty.
Stand by Bill in St. Petersburg. Stand by Doug in St. Pete. Stand by John in Palm Harbor, Florida. We are talking about U.S. Attorney Robert Merkle.
From Tampa to Orlando, from Jacksonville to Fort Myers, barely a soul is neutral about Bob Merkle.
Look at the lights lighting up. My goodness, people speaking out.
Well, I'm for Mr. Merkle 100%. What more do you want to know?
Among a certain set, he is justice incarnate, Saint Merkle. Among others, he has earned the title Mad Dog Merkle, who will claw and savage anyone who gets in his way.
He's a sick person.
Every time I hear the word government from him, I'm beginning to think government is a dirty word.
Editorials call for his removal, and so does the governor, and so do a number of sheriffs.
Efforts to have Merkle ousted from office by the White House seem to be gaining momentum tonight.
Merkle can fairly respond that everyone hates him but the people. Almost 10,000 petitioned the Justice Department to keep him on the job. Merkle is a household word. His face, a household face. Remarkable when you consider that most Americans have no idea who their U.S. attorney is. Merkle has been with the Justice Department practically since he left law school, and for the past 5 years, he's been the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District, a presidential appointment. He's taken aim at corrupt public officials corrupted by the easy money available from the Florida drug trade.
The corrosive power of the drug trade respects no cultural lines, no class lines, nothing. I mean, it's just... It's a tragedy. It's a modern-day tragedy, which is why I've suggested to you that one of the major failures of the criminal justice system is it doesn't recognize that. It hasn't yet recognized that.
He is convinced that the drug money creates an environment that encourages every kind of public corruption. In 5 years, Merkle has indicted 2 judges, 6 county commissioners, 3 prosecutors, 1 sheriff, 4 deputies, 2 federal agents, and dozens of lawyers, bankers, and businessmen. But his enemies allege that in his zeal he has coerced confessions, abused the grand jury system, threatened to get his critics smeared reputations, that he uses his office as a blunt instrument, bashing the guilty and innocent alike. Norman Cannella used to be the chief assistant state attorney, the district attorney in Tampa.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office brought me into town shortly before the 6 o'clock news and paraded me in handcuffs. And that was played back to this community for many, many months following my arrest.
Merkle was convinced that Cannella had taken bribes from drug dealers.
Did you ever take any bribes?
No, sir.
Once it came to trial, what happened?
The federal judge took the case away from the jury and granted a Rule 29, which is an acquittal on all counts. That is a loud and clear message to the government that their case wasn't worth a damn.
A judgment of acquittal is not tantamount to a finding of innocence. Juries, and by implication judges, render not guilty verdicts, which are not to say innocent verdicts, but not guilty verdicts, because of mistake, confusion, sympathy, or any number of other factors.
But that's our system.
You're right. So, but accept that system for what it is, and don't jump on a bandwagon to suggest that the U.S. attorney who brought that charge didn't have any evidence to bring the charge.
Merkle believes that the courts blew it.
Well, I think that's a cop-out. I think that's a cop-out.
Mr. Cannella, now in private practice, feels his reputation was ruined by Merkel's vindictiveness. Vindictive or not, Merkle has had a lot of success. For example, his first big case when he came to Tampa, the Hillsborough County Commission. 4 county commissioners were sent to jail. But when Merkle brought another Hillsborough County case to trial, things backfired. 11 of 15 defendants were acquitted.
Well, the jury blew it. Because that happened, it shouldn't minimize what was accomplished in that case, because the jury did determine that that county commission was operated as a racketeering enterprise, which is a pretty strong statement.
Merkel's targets are not only drug suspects, but their lawyers. Barry Cohen, a prominent Tampa defense attorney, was brought before a grand jury. No clear accusation was made, but Cohen says Merkle was bent on proving he was a conduit for bribes. Nothing came of the grand jury appearance, but Cohen, in retaliation, helped start the Dump Merkle campaign with a full-page ad in the local paper.
Basically, I told the people of this community that Merkel's McCarthy mentality is a threat to innocent people. He has an art for manipulating the facts.
That's called good lawyering, otherwise.
No, that's not called good lawyering. Good lawyering is not inducing people to tell untruths, not threatening people that they'll be indicted if they don't tell you what you want to hear, so that you can manipulate the facts with other facts that do exist. Not telling one witness what another witness has said to corroborate the testimony. Not holding many meetings in the office behind the grand jury closed doors and telling witnesses that you better testify in a particular way.
Telling witnesses that unless they testify in a particular way, they're going to be in trouble.
Yes.
Isn't that criminal?
Yes, it's criminal.
But who's accusing of a criminal act?
Absolutely. And there's sworn testimony to that effect, and the Justice Department has reviewed it, and they've chosen to ignore it.
Cohen's complaint, including sworn statements that Merkle had tried to coerce witnesses, was reviewed by the Justice Department and found to be without substance. Merkle was cleared.
The fact of the matter is that I do my work in an environment which does not allow for the mad dog prosecutor, if you will. It does not allow for the renegade who is willing to trample people's rights. To suggest that I am somehow engaging in a massive diminution of people's rights is simply, it's preposterous.
A person doesn't just get a nickname of Mad Dog Merkle just out of coincidence. That's the name that President Reagan gave to Gaddafi.
What is it about Robert Merkle that excites such anger, passion, even hatred among judges, among many police officers, newspaper editors?
I would suggest to you that the main cause of it is that we're doing a great job here. Law enforcement here is as it should be, federal law enforcement. That is essentially independent, fair, and honest.
No, I think you left something out. Tough as hell.
Aggressive, that's right. It has to be. It has to be. This is not a business where you can put a few hours in a day and then go to the country club.
3 times Merkle has been investigated, and he was cleared each time. To support him during the last investigation, a petition with almost 10,000 names called on the government to keep him on the job. The heart, soul, and voice of the Robert Merkle fan club are Joyce Hunter, Gene Costantino, and Trudy Yates.
I'll tell you that the man on the street thinks Bob Merkle is A-OK.
It's rare that you get, for example, a state prosecutor, police officers, defense attorneys, all agreeing in such a vocal way that this man is the very embodiment of evil within the judicial system.
Then why can't they prove it?
Do you think they're all really guilty? These people are saying, get Merkel?
I'm sure that all of them are not guilty, but I think there are a lot more guilty ones than he's dragged out yet.
It takes an aggressive...
Arrogant?
Yes. Arrogant, yes.
Ambitious?
Ambitious.
Driven?
Yes. You're not going to accomplish what he has accomplished if you're going to be a wimp.
Their hero is definitely not a wimp. He is father of 9, outspoken enemy of abortion. He responded to the outcry against him by picking up his guitar and taking to the local airwaves with a song he had written just for his opponents, the Ballad of the Crooked Lawyer.
They take what they can from their clients and leave them with the words of a sad lawyer's song.
While Merkel has criticized the media, he has become one of its stars, more a publicity hound than a mad dog.
Is this going to be a deterrent, do you think, to other people?
Bet your boots.
His enemies say that his continuing harangue to the public that so many officials are corrupt has undermined good government. Among the victims, they say, is law enforcement. Frank Wanaka, the sheriff of Lee County, and his chief deputy, Dave Wilson, have been the targets of a number of Merkel grand juries looking for drug involvement. But so far, not a single conviction.
Our reputations are tarnished forever because of Mr. Merkel. And he's done it to many people, not just us.
He has turned an awful lot of policemen against the system and made them detest the profession itself because they see how the abuses happen and they start looking over their shoulder and saying, how long do I want to be a part of this viciousness?
There are those who say that this crusade of yours has gone so far overboard that government down here has kind of stopped because everybody's looking over their shoulder. You fear that Merkel's net is going to just pull them in, innocent or not.
Well, first of all, Merkel doesn't have a net.
Merkel's got a grand jury, which is better than a net.
That's right, and it's fairer than a net.
Kevin Calwary, a Tampa reporter who covers Merkel's office, would not agree. He was brought before a grand jury, was caught in the net.
The method of operation seems to be throw out a net, bring in 20 fish. Hopefully the 5 fish that you're looking for are in there, you get them, and you throw the other 15 back out. Maybe the fish can swim when they're thrown back out. Maybe they just flop around for a while. Is it fair to those people?
To this day, Calwary does not know if Merkel's office wanted information or was trying to intimidate him.
Anybody who goes before the grand jury remains under suspicion. I think I remain under suspicion to this day, as does everybody else who's been there. Until that subpoena comes to your front door, you have no idea what kind of effect it has on you and your family. And it's a devastating effect. It's a frightening effect.
But why, then, is he so popular with the public?
Hitler was popular with the public.
Hitler?
Very popular.
His detractors would like to see the last of Bob Merkel. His supporters want to see him run for the U.S. Senate. Merkel says they're both wrong.
I once said I was going to raise goats when I left this office. I was asked why goats, and I said that if you've been around lawyers as long as I have, you realize what good company goats were.
For the moment, Mad Dog Merkle is content to get other people's goats, and all their efforts to retaliate have failed. He serves at the president's pleasure, and the president seems pleased enough with the job he's doing. And so is Mad Dog.
When you're drinking with me, I'm a man you don't meet every day.